You hear our next guest every week here on Into Tomorrow. He provides news and analysis about wearable and mobile technology for health and medical applications. And he's the host of our weekly Health Tech Minute. Always delighted to chat with the Health Tech Futurist and editor of Health Tech Insider, Alfred Poor. Alfred, welcome back Into Tomorrow. We missed you in person at CES, but glad to actually see you, reminding our radio audience that we've got video of all of our guest interviews, so be sure and come by and see Alfred and products we're talking about. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm very sorry that didn't make it in person to CES, but everybody's getting the hang of this virtual thing.
Yeah, I know. We're kind of liking it.
Yeah, I saw at least half as many companies as I would have seen had I been on site.
Really?
So, yeah, so there's no shortage of news.
That's for sure. In fact, we were fortunate in being there in person because no one else was. I mean, they went from about 170,000 on average to maybe 40,000 people, which is a heck of a cut. I mean, we joke about how you could shoot a cannon down any aisle and not hit anyone. That's bad for the CTA folks, but oh well. But good for us because we ended up coming back with more interviews from better companies, especially a lot of the smaller companies who said, no, we've saved all year for this. We have to go. Yeah. And big companies that just bailed. Who needs them anyway? You know, of course, we're going to hear about news from these big companies, but we like to talk with the smaller companies too, including health tech related sorts of things. So between plenty of those interviews during our 3 to 4 weeks of CES coverage, we kept saying the whole week, the only thing we planned to catch is our flight home. And it worked out well. So there was a team of 5 of us, and we all came back very healthy. Anyway, lots of cool stuff that you have uncovered, certainly as a result of CES, be it virtual or otherwise. Things like sleep tech are helping us into tomorrow, if you will. Tell me about things that you've uncovered.
So sleep tech is an important bellwether for the whole health tech market for me, as I look at it. 3-4 years ago, sleep technology meant we tell you how you slept last night.
Yeah, which right? You may or may not know if you wake up on the wrong side of bed, right?
I mean, I was there. I know how I slept.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't helpful. I mean, it's, tell me how I'm going to sleep better tonight. What can I do? And that's what's happening. That's what's changing. We're now getting more and more approaches and technologies to help us fall asleep better, stay asleep better, sleep deeper, get more rested, because sleep is a challenge in the best of times, and obviously during the pandemic and the additional stress and worry that people have about that, it's become more and more of a problem for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we're beginning to see some really innovative and different approaches to help you sleep better. One of my favorites was a product called Quiet On. Quiet On, all one word. And what they have is something very simple. It's a pair of earbuds that are active noise canceling. Now, you know the Bose headsets with active noise canceling, and we wear on the airplane, and all of a sudden it shuts out all the noise. Well, this is what you can wear when you're sleeping. And it shuts out all the noise in your room. Perhaps you may have a partner who makes some snoring noises.
No.
That can disrupt your sleep. And so the point of these things is that they have microphones and little speakers in them, and they just create the opposite sound, so it cancels all that out, and you sleep in a much more quiet environment. It's not connected to anything. There's no Bluetooth. There's no radio waves going back and forth. It's just a clean little device that that will help you sleep better. And
unlike big, bulky headphones that you couldn't possibly sleep with, these are just small earbuds, right? And you power them.
Earbuds, they fit in your ear, and I haven't tried them, but they shouldn't disrupt your sleeping any.
Terrific.
Another interesting approach to that is this product from Cocoon. They call them Night Buds, and this is a wireless device. You pair this with your smartphone or tablet. Or you can just use it by itself if you want. It can produce white noise. It can play music from your tablet or your phone to help you fall asleep. It can, or podcasts or whatever you want to listen to. But the cool thing about it, it's wireless. So when you put it on and you get the ears in, it's behind your neck, so you can sleep on your back, your side. It's not going to get in the way.
Very good.
And the buds themselves are very tiny and very soft, so they're not going to disturb you. But the really cool part is when it finds out that you're falling asleep, because it's got biometric detectors in it. When you're falling asleep, it brings the music down.
Oh, nice.
And goes quiet. And so if it detects that you're waking up in the middle of the night, well, it might play some white noise or some surf something or other and bring that up and just calm you down and then ease you back to sleep and go away again.
I like the idea of if it'll play things like distant thunderstorms, or, well, you mentioned it'll play whatever you have on your phone or tablet. So
but it also has content that it can generate sounds.
Gotcha.
If you want. So that's a really cool proactive kind of way to help you sleep better.
And what is that called again?
It's called Night Buds.
Night Buds, okay.
And it's made by a company called Cocoon with a K.
Okay, gotcha. And the fact that you said you could also play a podcast, I can't tell you how many listeners we've had over the years that say they're having trouble falling asleep, so they listen to our podcast. And I go, oh, great, I guess. So there's an option there for you, too. You can go to bed with me.
I've had that effect on people myself at times. So the third one I want to talk about with sleep is an interesting product called Sleep Me, all one word, but Sleep Me. And what this is a product that adjusts the temperature of your bed based on where you are in your sleep cycles.
Oh.
So you sleep better when you're a little bit cooler. And so it will cool off when it's time to go to sleep and will help you fall asleep. And then in the morning time to warm up again, to help you be ready to warm up again, or wake up. But, a very novel approach. Incidentally, this is something that Sleep Number has been showing as part of their high-end connected mattresses for a couple of years. So it's not a totally new idea, but this is something that you could add on to any bed. And again, it's called Sleep Me.
Very good. Not Sleep With Me, but Sleep Me. It's probably easier to remember that way. Just Sleep Me. Okay. One of the other things that I know we've talked about off the air from CES is invisibles. Tell our audience, what are invisibles? And apparently you can't see them, but that's about all I get.
Well, so one of my key points about wearable technology, health technology in general, is that the more you have to fuss with it, the less you're going to use it. And so I say that we're not going to have these products really succeed and make a difference in our lives until they disappear into our lives. So if you have to take your smartwatch off every night and recharge it, or if you have to constantly be updating the software or downloading this, early results with the Fitbits and the other health trackers, people would use them for 6 months, 9 months, and then they put them in the kitchen drawer because it was just too much work to keep up with them. And we're seeing products that use a lot less of your attention in order to do the job. I mean, think of the old Timex watch. You put a battery in it, you're good for 3 years.
Yeah, it just keeps on ticking.
Yeah, exactly. You look at your watch, you don't need to know what time it is, you don't have to look. So here are just a quick run through of a whole bunch of products that I think are in this category about helping things disappear. One is Withings. They make smart weight scales and other devices, smart watches and other things, but they've been known for years. They sort of help get the smart scale business going.
Right.
They now have a thing called Body Scan, which basically has like a handlebar that you lift up out of it's on a tether, and you just lift that up from the scale while you're standing on it. And it will weigh you. It will figure out your body composition, but it also will do it by segments. So it can tell you about the fat content in your legs and your arms and your torso separately. In addition to that, it's a 6-lead ECG, a heart meter. So it gets multiple traces about your heart activity. And this all happens just when you weigh yourself in the morning.
Nice. So that you don't have to really think about all of these things.
Exactly.
You just do your morning weigh-in, and you've got all the detail.
But what if you didn't even have to do that?
Okay.
There's a new product called B Balance. And what this is a bath mat. And the bath mat has a matrix of sensors, pressure sensors in it. And so when you walk up to the sink to brush your teeth or shave or whatever you're going to do first thing in the morning, you stand on this mat, it weighs you, it figures out your body composition, it assesses your balance. So in the future, eventually they'll hope to build in fall risk assessment for seniors. A whole lot of things you can do with it. But you stand on it and it knows. And the thing is, it knows you from the other household members. It can identify you each individually by instead of a fingerprint, a footprint.
Wow.
So it knows you when you're standing on it.
And does it yell at us if we've gained weight?
No, unfortunately, it stays quiet. But and the nice thing is that everybody in the house can have their own account, so only they can see their data. It's not like there's one big dashboard that everybody's on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Moving on, there's a product called Camino Robotics, and what they've got is a device that bolts onto your walker or your cane, and it collects data about your walking. So if you're a senior or somebody with Parkinson's disease, it can analyze your gait and detect if you're going to be developing more mobility problems and how you're doing and all that, which is kind of cool. In a more proactive one, there's a device from Dioro devices called NextStride. And this is a thing that you bolt onto your walker or your cane, and it actually provides audible and visual prompts to help you walk. This is especially good for people with Parkinson's who have a condition known as gait freeze, where you're in the middle of taking a step and all of a sudden you lock up and you can't take the next step. Well, this provides prompts through cadence and lights and things to help you move more reliably and more efficiently.
Well, that's terrific. Fortunately, I'm not there yet, so keep that in mind, though, as we need those kinds of things in the future. But very cool stuff. I mean, there's some great tech, and we've talked for years with you about how technology can and does make a difference in our lives, especially with health. So that's very cool as well.
And another development is, you probably heard of the Oura ring. Yeah. It's a biometric ring. The NBA was using it to track players and detect when they maybe had COVID symptoms early before they showed up otherwise. Oura was the first really successful smart ring, but now there are a bunch of others. We've got another one company called Circular is coming out with one, and there's another one called Movano, which is very interesting. Instead of using LED lights, they're using radio frequency to do the biosensing. So this is a whole new approach. Radio frequency is actually being used for a lot of things, doing fall detection in the home and some other stuff from products. But so there's a lot happening in that biometric ring marketplace that you should keep an eye on.
Oh, for sure. And no doubt these are the kinds of things we're going to hear more about from you on our weekly Health Tech Minutes as more info is available. Blood pressure is always a concern for a lot of people with a lot of various health issues, maybe not even knowing if they have a health issue. There's some new items that were introduced during CES as well, including a cuffless blood pressure device. So
let me ask you, do you take your blood pressure every day?
I don't. I know I should, but I don't. Of course not.
As should I, and I don't. And the problem is it's a pain. It's difficult, and yet when it comes to blood pressure, we get it taken when we go to the doctor's office once, twice, 3 times a year, but that's it. And even then, it's not always done under the correct procedural way where you're supposed to sit for 5 minutes and have your feet on the floor and all that stuff. It's rushed, and so the numbers really don't mean a whole lot. The nice thing about this approach to cuffless blood pressure means that you will be able to wear these devices and it will be able to give you your blood pressure throughout the day. And this is especially important because they call it ambulatory blood pressure. And so when you're sitting, your blood pressure will be lower, but when you're walking around or if you're exercising, it'll be higher. And I've been talking to cardiologists about this, and would really like to know how high is high, and what does your recovery look like, and just as with heart rate, what's going on with your blood pressure. And there's another part that I hadn't been aware of, and that is your blood pressure readings when you're asleep turn out to be a major predictor of your risk of cardiac disease.
Really?
So, yeah. So, and I've never had my blood pressure taken while I was asleep, right?
Me either, other than in the hospital where it wakes you up anyway, because that's what it does. It'll wake you up.
You got that squeezing going on, and it wakes you up. So the interesting thing is that there's a lot of companies that are working on systems to detect your blood pressure without that squeezing of the cuff.
So would this be another like smartwatch, or like the Jabra earbuds that can measure certain things, or how would that work?
Exactly. So Valencell is the company that put the heart measuring technology in the Jabra earbud. And they now have created the technology that will also measure blood pressure. So it could be in the earbud, it could be in the watch. Basically, they don't make products, they license their technology to companies that make the products. So that's why you see Valencell and Jabra and other devices. The cool thing about Valencell's approach, they're using the same LED PPG technology that you use for heart rate and heart rate variability, the little flashing LEDs on the back of your watch.
Yeah, very good.
They use that same technology for blood pressure, but the cool thing is they don't need to calibrate with a cuff. They can just take their system and read your actual blood pressure without having to calibrate, which is huge. It's because they've just collected enormous amounts of data from many, many, many test subjects. And so they have a great pile of data for their artificial intelligence algorithms to chew on and come up with the actual number. But they're not alone. Biospectral is a company that has a thing called a biodisc, which is a smart patch that just takes 20 seconds to give you a reading for your blood pressure. An interesting one is from a company called BioBeat, and they have a product that they call 24BP, which is 24 hours blood pressure. And again, a smart patch that you can wear. And the interesting thing about this, though, is that it's available direct to consumers. So you can buy this thing for $100. It's a one-time use. You wear it for 24 hours, then send it in, and they'll give you the data from it and analyze it.
That's awesome, and what great info for your doctor, be it the cardiologist or your primary care physician, somebody who can look at that data and determine if there's some other issues to deal with or not.
Exactly. Great way to get more information, and over time, it's going to be great. And then there's another product called Actia, A-K-T-I-I-A, and they're actually already for sale in 7 European countries. And so they also do the 24-hour, 7 days a week blood pressure monitoring. So there's a lot happening in this area. For
sure. And Alfred, we're fast running out of time, but I absolutely wanted to ask you, where the heck, for us diabetics, were the non-invasive blood glucose monitors of some sort? Because we hear, oh, they're coming, or you'll be able to do it soon. We didn't see anything like that at CES, and I'm guessing you looked hard as well.
I did, and I've talked with C-level executives from health tech companies, large and very small, and they're not there yet. There's been a lot of hype. Obviously, there's a huge pent-up demand, but it's a really difficult problem. All right, so if I were to pour a spoonful of sugar in a glass of water into some water, you wouldn't know how sweet it was. If I poured it into a half a cup of water, it's going to be a lot sweeter than if I poured it into a gallon of water. Right. And so what blood glucose measurements are, is it's the concentration. It's how much of that glucose, your blood sugar, exists in a given volume of your blood.
So that's where it's measuring our interstitial fluid, because it's got to be under the skin. Well,
interstitial fluid, they use that as a proxy for the blood in the constant glucose meters that you have from Abbott and Dexcom, those kinds of things. They have a tiny little, they call it a catheter. It's a needle. It sticks under your skin, and it actually gets into the space between the cells, and that measures the glucose in that fluid. And because it can pull up a certain amount of volume, it knows the volume and it knows the concentration, and it can give you a reading. the problem with shining light into your skin, you don't know what the volume is you're measuring. But people are making progress. As I mentioned earlier, Valencell and Movano, the smart ring people, they're working on developing blood glucose measurements. There's one company called the Quantum Operation out of Japan that's gotten a lot of press, both last year and this year at CES about non-invasive blood sugar measurements. The fact is that their device is going to do, when it's ready, is going to do heart rate and blood pressure and blood oxygen levels and all those good things as well. But they're not pursuing this as a medical device at this point. At this point, they're only hoping to give it out as a health device. And probably when it comes out, all it will be able to do is say, yeah, your blood sugar is going up, or yeah, your blood sugar is going down, but it's not going to be able to tell you what that level is.
Wow.
And it may even require calibration with a finger prick even to do that.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is there is no non-invasive blood glucose system that I know of that's ready for market.
Great. So it's not quite at our smartwatch or a ring or anything else. We still have to be invasive to some degree.
Yep. People are still talking all the time about, oh, yep, Apple's going to have it. It's going to be in their watch. They're working on it. They've got a partner. And that's all true. But I still think my best guess is that we're at least 2 to 3 years away before we're going to have something on your wrist that can measure blood glucose.
Gotcha. Alfred Poor is the health tech futurist and editor of Health Tech Insider. You most certainly want to subscribe to his free weekly Health Tech Insider newsletter. I always find it fascinating, and I'm clicking on several of the articles that he presents because it is truly informative, entertaining, useful information. You can sign up as well when you visit healthtechinsider.com. And of course, stay tuned into tomorrow, and we'll hear Alfred every week on the show with his Health Tech Minute. Alfred, as always, thanks for spending a few minutes with us, reminding our radio audience to come visit us and see the video of this interview as well. And we look forward to getting you back soon.
I always have a great time doing this and look forward to the next opportunity.
By all means. Again, healthtechinsider.com for more. I'm Dave Graveline. We'll get you there when you hit us up at intotomorrow.com. Stay tuned. Lots more from CES as we continue bringing you further into tomorrow right here on the Advanced Media Network.